I will tell ya. That song is delightful. I love that song. I love that movie. I think it holds up pretty goddamn good. Sammy Hagar with Heavy Metal. We ended the last Twisted Metal with that song. We ended the last Twisted Metal game with that song. The credits ran over that. I love the credit sequence of that game. They did such a good job at Sony San Diego on that. The what do they call themselves? The VASG, which was worrisomely close to VAGS group, but they were a great group run by the great Mikey Bumbauer and Nick Conanellis, and they gave us a great credit sequence to close that game out. And it was fun, and I love that song. I love that movie. Welcome to the show. We're running a little late today for very, very valid reasons. I can't make any up right now, but I'm sure when I make one of them up, you'll go, oh, that's pretty fucking valid. Oh, I know what it was. Oh, I have to tell you. Oh, yeah, I remember. There's my brother in the chat. He says he snuck in to see Heavy Metal, the movie. He got kicked out because he wasn't old enough, because his name was... I want to say it was, believe it or not, it wasn't Jeffrey Epstein, very different Jeffrey Epstein, but one Jeffrey something, it was some, I know, I can see the guy in my head that you went to sneak in with, and he went and told the theater, like, me snuck into the R-rated movie. And I was like, my God, yeah, I couldn't see it. Rarely did my mom and dad give a shit, but on that particular movie, motion picture, Heavy Metal, they didn't want me to go see it. So I had to see it much later, but I loved it. Bernstein, that's his name, not Epstein. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's great stuff. It's great stuff. So, great movie, still holds up within reason. I like it a lot. Oh, I got to tell you what I did yesterday. So this is why I was late today, but we're still giving you 2 streams today. There'll be this stream, then there'll be a video game stream later tonight, probably more Kingdom Come, but we'll see. And we got a lot to talk about in the show. We got some game news. We got some weird pop culture news. We got some Taylor Swift, what's that guy's name? Donald Trump news. And then, yeah, there's also some Asmongold shit that I just need to point out that I don't think he's consciously lying. I think he's just a poorly informed young chap. And I want to point out to you, please don't believe this particular line of horse shit that he's selling to you, but we'll get to all that. I'll tell you why I was a little late. A lot late. So yesterday was the first time I had ever gone to, I went to a place. I'd never gone to an art museum before, or any museum before high. And we go to the La Jolla Museum of Contemporary Art. And I says to myself, self, let's smoke some dope. And I smoke the dope, and I go to a museum, abstract art for the most part. And it was delightful, y'all. It was absolutely delightful, because I'm not one of these people that looks at abstract art and is like, it's fucking, what do you mean it's art? I could fucking put some red splash on a painting, you know. That's not what it's meant to do. No one's arguing with you that a pure white painting in a museum is some kind of, ability to draw and paint photorealistically. But I'll tell you this, man. It really, abstract art is like reading poetry, right? It really is about you and your relationship with the art and what you bring to it and what you take from it. But when you do it high, man, all that shit in your brain's going wild. And the stuff that I was able to tell myself and read into this artwork, it was profound. It was spiritual. It was incredibly a great experience. And speaking, I'm going to show you a couple of the pieces I saw. And I want to tell you kind of my take on it, on these 2 pieces. But before that, I want to do an experiment. I had a whole weekend of things that were brand new to me. Here was another one. When I was a kid, we would go into the 7 and the 11, and we would do what was called suicides, where we would take all the different flavors of Slurpees or whatever they were called then, ices, and that, you know, you mix them together. But here's something I never did, and I'm going to do it on stream. I'm very curious about this because I saw this tweet from Retro Toys and Cartoons. Okay, check this out. Let me share this screen right here. So if you can't see, or if you're not looking, or if you're driving, it's a picture of the Joker, and he's holding up a Coke and a Pepsi. And Batman's over there saying, Joker, wait. And Joker says, I don't give a damn. And he mixes them. Well, in my entire life, I have never mixed. It never occurred to me to mix Coke and Pepsi. But I'm doing it right now while we're talking. I also have Diet Pepsi, I think. Yep, Diet Pepsi and Diet Coke. Zach says the talk, wheeze in the juice, you goddamn right. The talk of abstract art makes me want to sue. Look, what I'm saying to you about abstract art, man, is it's really cool. I mean, it is really fucking cool, especially if your mind, like mine was yesterday, is in a place to, you know, dive into the, let me give you, fuck it. We'll come back to the Coke thing in just a second. Let me just show you what I'm talking about if you don't know. So this is, for example, they had a Warhol there, right? This was the Warhol that they had. It's called Flowers. Okay. Now, at first, when I sat down to look at this painting, it meant nothing to me. I was like, this is my least favorite painting I've seen. Why do people give a shit about this? But the pot kicks in, it does. And I start to recognize, obviously, these are flowers taken from a top-down perspective. Now, just stick with me for talking about art. I don't want to hear about art. I'm not talking about art. I'm talking about God. I'm talking about the universe. Just listen. This was based on a photograph. Okay. I had spent time in the museum previously looking at all these brush strokes and attributing intention behind things that were abstract. Here's an example. This is a piece they had there called Wallflower. Now, you first go in and you look at this, and you would go, really? Really? Right. I'm with you. Oh, you can't see it. You'd go, that's what you'd look at and say, really, really, really? Okay. But once the dope kicked in, I realized that you can look at this as two different ways. I mean, everything that you see, even though it doesn't make any sense to the conscious mind, every choice is on display, right? So even if it is intentionally meaningless, nothing is meaningless. Okay. So I'll give you, you can't say, Real Boss, it's bullshit trash. You're missing the point if you think that, right? This is, let me tell you, this could be read, and this is my interpretation. I'm not saying this is what the artist intended, but you can interpret this. I'll tell you what, you can interpret this a couple of different ways. Okay. After we do the Coke Pepsi experiment, we'll come back and I want you to tell me what you think this piece means to you. How does this piece speak to you? The nature of being curious and the nature of filling in those blanks is literally the point. That's why it exists. Miggy, thank you, buddy. Miggy says, here's $5, you sexy beast. Right back at you without money and me calling you sexy. But thank you, Miggy, for that super chat. Thank you for the support. I really very much appreciate it, man. Okay, but we'll get back to the art after we deal with the Joker. All right, we got watch this. Joker, wait, don't do that, says Batman. And Joker says, go fuck yourself, Batman, you prick. And then the Joker just does the mix. Okay, so we're now going to do the mix. And I'll tell you what it tastes like. Here we go. Oh, Jarvie. Hey, Jarvie, I'll bring you in a second, buddy. All right, here's the Coke. Here we go. Here we go. Just a little. I don't like Coke or Pepsi, really. I like Diet Coke. I mean, it all tastes like shit, but you get addicted to it and everything. All right, and here is there. Okay, here's the Pepsi. Let me do it. Make sure the Coke is proper. It tastes like Coke. Tastes like cleaning fluid, aka Pepsi. Here we go. All right, let's mix it up. Let's mix it up now. It's not about junk art. We'll talk about it in a minute. Hang on. All right, here we go. It's not madness. Pretty good. It's it takes the sweetness of the Coke. Coke has too much sugar for me. It takes a little of that off. Not bad. See, the Joker is right. Batman can go fuck himself. Because he's just like, oh, Joker. It's like, no, Batman, you piece of shit. You're holding back progress. You're like those people who can't stand AI. That's pretty good. I enjoyed it. Thank you, Lammy. Okay. Where did it go? Too many millionaires driving up prices on junk art. I think people get real divisive and they get real bitchy about abstract art because they don't, it's kind of like no one's trying to get one over on you, right? It's about sort of, it's like a gift of, it's like a thought experiment. Okay. So when I look at this piece, this is not going to talk about abstract art all day. I just want to say, I go to the museum and I'm high as a kite. And I was able to see things in the abstraction that I never would have seen purely sober, right? So I was able to look at this piece and see two things. If you read the piece left to right, it is about mastering a skill, right? The left is clearly the person has something in their mind, but they don't have the skill and talent to express it. The middle of the piece is the rigidness of learning the craft and the skill. It's hard. It's not fun. You're running up against basically brick walls all the time. And then you ultimately come out the other side and you can see the symmetry between the two pieces, the left and the right. But the one on the right is much more open, much more confident, much more clear. Or you can read it right to left, and it's about the stratification, the concretization of spirit as you age. On the right, you are open, you are free. Then the middle is real life. As you escape childhood, you hit real life and you get weighed down by demands and society. The far left is about you as the adult, as the dying adult, as you go up and ascend to heaven or whatever, where you basically are still fundamentally trying to express that inner child mentality, but it's all now filled in. It's all now calcified with the bullshit of life. And you can still see the child within with that little cut from the top, right? These things, that is the joy of abstract art, is that you can look at it and you can actually begin to, it's a relationship that is about you. It's like going to therapy. It doesn't matter if that's what the artist intended, right? I saw this weird sculpture that was just twisted and made out of weird metal pieces and shit, and some were shiny and some were not. And the whole thing, every twist, every turn in that piece was like the artist probably didn't think about it. But, or maybe he did, maybe she did, maybe she didn't. But every choice, it's almost like you start to see us like every choice is a result. Like maybe that twist there would never have been there if that little, girl in middle school that he had a crush on had not rejected him. And somehow the need to twist it right there when he was making that metal sculpture came. You could track it if you had like the Spice and Dune and Paul Atreides. You could track it back and see every event that led to that twist. And it was all kicked off by that moment of that anchor moment of her saying, I don't want to go on a date with you. Go to the museum when you're high. It'll change your life. It's delightful. Let's bring in good Sir Jarvie. Jarvie, it's Jaffe. How's life? How you doing? Good to see you, buddy. What's going on?
I'm doing good. I just got a question that I've asked you in your other streams, but you were high at the time.
Yes. What is your question, sir?
My question is, you have mentioned that God of War needs to change something up for their next game. So, would you like it if they went back to the original style of gameplay, but maybe with a more modern camera control?
Well, that's hard to answer only because when you say the original style of gameplay, that can mean a lot of different things. So
It's what I mean like more brutal, more hack and slashy, more kind of character stylized action combat.
I would I think that the I'm not saying I want it to be a 2.5D game. I'm not saying I want the camera to necessarily be locked. When I was playing God of War Ragnarok Valhalla, especially when they were doing, the Greek stuff, I really felt that's my God of War. I don't mean because it was in my setting, but because there was a lightness to it. It felt like it had put down all of this emotional baggage that, as much as I thought 2018's God of War was excellent, I don't feel it belongs in God of War. You can make another game with that. It doesn't mean that game was not a good game. It's not a God of War game. And it couldn't have been a God of War game because the franchise was pretty much dead. Corey had to do that to save its life. And it was also a great fucking game. But for me, looking at it just as a fan and one-time creator, I'm not worried about Sony's bottom line. I felt that it was just like, oh my God, it's just like this pontificating windbag of a game. And some games can handle that. I don't think God of War is designed to do that. And so I would love for it to return. And I don't know who's directing the new one. There's a rumor there'll be a state of play this week. And there's even another rumor that they'll reveal some God of War information. I don't know if it's going to be any, let alone like, hey, we're going back to Egypt or we're going to Egypt like people have been rumoring. But I would love to hear, as much as I think Eric Williams is a bona fide literal genius when it comes to combat in video games. He's amazing. I would love to hear that those two guys that did Ragnarok Valhalla, are going to be directing this next one, because it seems they have a better balance of, there's some heart and pathos, but it's also meant to be a fucking fun as shit adventure. And I that's what I would love it to go back to, regardless of the specifics of camera and things like that.
Well, with when my thought process is with the newer games, the combat isn't as, it got some similarities to it, but it's basically kind of different.
Oh, it's very different. Yeah.
But
it's more skill based. I mean, it's deeper combat.
Yeah. But I feel like it matches with how they're going the direction of Kratos' character compared to the original game. Because he was more of a brutal guy, and this one is still kind of brutal, but he's not like he is from his younger self. So
sure, everything about that is one of the that you're expressing is one of the reasons I liked 2018 so much, and I do think what they've done with it is really neat, really impressive, and really cool. I just, playing Ninja Gaiden 2 Black or Black 2, even though I think God of War, not combat wise at all, but in terms of narrative and exploration and stuff, is a much richer game than that. But in the combat and in the style, they beat the shit out of God of War, at least the ones I worked on. It makes me go, there's an in-between world that they should explore moving forward. I get why they did what they did. It was necessary, but now let's kind of go, what does this look like when it's not trying to be The Last of Us meets Greek mythology or Norse mythology? And we'll see what happens. But I have no idea what they're going to do, but I hope it is that. And I hope we saw a little bit of hint of it when we played Valhalla Ragnarok or Ragnarok Valhalla.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree with you.
Thank you, Jarvie. Always good to see you, bud. Anytime, man. Anytime. There he goes, fellas. Jarvie off tonight. Listen to this stupid son of a bitch. He's probably already gone. Why is this a narrative? These are the things I wonder. Anonymous says, how's the game industry blacklist, Jaffe? I don't even understand that. There's this narrative that exists that I was fired from. The only time I've been fired from any job was my first production assistant job in college, when I was supposed to drive a script to the set of the TV show Dinosaurs in Studio City, but I didn't know LA that well. And I drove all the way to Santa Barbara, and they're like, yeah, you need to come in tomorrow. And I'm like, well, I don't fucking know. And they kept saying, no, you're going fine. Keep going north. The point is, Nobody's blacklisted. In fact, and I'm not going to tell you who. I may be doing, and again, you never know with these things. There's, until a deal is signed, there's nothing. But there's a consulting group from a very cool publisher that I'm talking to right now about doing some consulting on a new game that they're doing. So this idea of being blacklisted, I don't know where you guys get your horse shit from. Are there people in the industry that may go, oh, I don't want to work with Jaffe? Probably, but there's people in the industry I don't want to work with either. But that's just a ridiculous thing. And it's a narrative that I think people use it. It doesn't matter. Point is, it doesn't feel like anything because it's not true, but okay.
Can we talk about the art piece?
Well, we already did.
I want to give my take.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Looks like a filing cabinet fell out the back of a truck, and they were like, "Wow, L.A." and then they put it in a museum. I like your explanation though. Relations of life.
Yeah, because that's the thing about this stuff. It's not meant to be like, I get it. I get if you haven't exposed yourself to it, you would think this. Can you believe that's fucking art? That is. It's such an elitist thing to make fun of people like that, but it is also represented. It's kind of like when somebody reads poetry that doesn't rhyme and go, "That ain't fucking poetry."
That's funny.
It's like, well,
I have my artsy fucking art history interpretation if you want to hear it.
Sure.
This is a piece that serves no actual purpose, in the sense that you can't use this to you're streaming Taylor Swift reacts to being.
No, let's go. I'm listening.
It is like something that cannot be used to rest on. It can't be relied to hold stuff up for. It doesn't have like use in anyone's home. But as a society, it is entertainment, right? All the time do we see people who are down on their luck or considered failures, and it's like, oh, put that on display, watch it, feed off of it. And so it's like a take on societal norms of look at that useless thing, and like the idea of it being in a museum is the art.
I would agree with you if the entire museum wasn't filled with stuff like this, because it's all abstract. JJD says abstract art is for people that want to get off on their own intellectualism. It just simply isn't. It just simply isn't. It's fascinating. I'm not saying abstract art is great and I want to spend my life in a fucking abstract art museum. I'm just saying that, it is like someone taking if a piece speaks to you and you're in the right headspace, it's really interesting because it's more about you than the art. It's like a Rorschach test. I think that's fucking amazing. Whose dog is that?
There's no way neighbor's dog.
I was going to say that ain't Courage.
No, Courage has more bass in his voice.
Yeah, Courage bark like a little baby.
I'll close the windows. But I interpret this whole like look at the thing experience because this is a Haysinger piece called Wallflower.
Right? Yeah.
And just like Wallflowers, we see it in entertainment. They come up. There's I think some movie called something Wallflowers.
It's from a book. The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yeah. Oh, well, I saw the movie. I didn't read the book, but it's for entertainment. It is the thing in the corner of the room that doesn't really do much, and we're watching it and enjoying it as like a spectacle.
Could be. But here's the bigger takeaway. So I showed that Warhol image, and I am a super duper agnostic. But it was interesting because after having been in the museum and the pot had kicked in, it just kicked in. When I first sat down and I looked at this image, I was just like, I don't like this. Is dumb. Who cares? And then afterwards, to me, what this did was I was like, it's so interesting to me that I can go through this museum and I can attribute all of these weird twists and turns and angles and all this, and I can say this means something, this speaks to me. But then when I see nature all around me, when I see things all around me, I choose to not believe in God. I choose to not believe there is intention behind the twists and turns of the blades of grass or how many petals are on those flowers, right? And it's not that made me believe in God, because I'm still very much an agnostic, but it did open my mind to the fact that there may very well be value in looking at things that are not man-made and saying that same sense of looking at poetry and something that's man-made that comes from some kind of conscious or subconscious decision could also come from the nature that we're surrounded by. I just thought that was very interesting. It was a great experience. I highly recommend smoking some weed, some dope, some grass, and going to an abstract art museum. You might regret it, but I don't care. I'm not the one who has to regret it. Okay. There we go. All right, let's talk real quickly. I didn't watch. So here's what happened. I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I went to the museum, but I was going to watch the Super Bowl, but I was like, it sounds like I didn't miss shit. So I'm glad. But I thought this was really funny. That I mean, I don't know what people's bee is in their bonnet about Taylor Swift. She is, she is very talented. Her music is really fun and good. If you don't like it, that's fine. There's a lot of music you probably like I don't like. And she brought a lot more eyeballs to the goddamn NFL. Not that they needed them, but she brought a lot of fucking eyeballs. I don't know why people fucking hate her so much, but I don't know why the sound's not playing. But this is her being booed at the Super Bowl. And I guess she turns to her friend and she's like, what the fuck? What did I do wrong? I'm just here to support my boyfriend. But the good news is the universe is for the most part balanced. See, Eddie T, I don't know if I agree. He says Taylor got booed out of the building. I don't know about that. She didn't get booed out of the building. That Trump tweeted that, and you guys said that. She didn't get booed out of the building. Trump left early, so he left, but maybe it was because of this. I don't know. This is Trump showing up. Sorry, here you go.
Let's go. I knew it. Thank you, Daniel. You're a fucking traitor. Traitor. Traitor.
So,
Traitor.
I'm not saying there weren't people there that enjoyed Donald Trump and voted for him and being there, but the idea that that's a representation of the they booed him too, right? So it was just Eagles fans taking the piss on Taylor. Okay, yeah. Funny part is Trump left early as well. Oh, shut up, JJD. Get the fuck out of here. Why are you even here? Brought more eyes. Jaffe is the king of dumb takes, grifting and devaluing Diet Coke. Listen, bitch. Taylor Swift has increased ratings to sporting events when she is there. That is not to suggest that the NFL was hurting for ratings, but there are more people watching when she is there because she is the biggest celebrity on the planet. Doesn't mean you have to like her. Doesn't mean you have to dig her music. You're just wrong, BD. Do you think, I'm not like you, BD. I don't just say shit for the sake of saying it. I do my research. Would you like to see a story showing that when Taylor Swift goes to a game, the ratings go up? Because people want to see her in the box, to see her reactions. Whether they're hate watching or love watching is not the point. But don't come at me and act like I'm just pulling stuff out of my butthole. Okay. Kendrick Lamar dissed him during the halftime show. I didn't even watch it. It's not legit, Jaffe. That's fake. Show me how it's fake. Send me. You may be right, by the way. You may be right. Send me evidence to suggest that it's fake, and then I'll say, "Oh yeah, you're right. That was fake." Okay. But they may have dubbed in the word traitor. I don't know. Show me that. But regardless, the other stuff is the booze. We're talking about booze. Listen. Oh, you can't hear it now.
Let's go. I knew it. Thank you, Daniel. You're a fucking traitor.
Right. So you're a fucking traitor. Maybe bullshit. I don't know. But the other stuff, that's what I'm talking about, because we were talking about booze. But again, I don't care. My point is, I know some people like the guy. I can't stand the guy, but I don't give a shit. You know, if you liked him and you were there, you probably clapped and shit. Hey, will you please? Well, no, I'll wait for that. Okay. All right, let's move forward, shall we? Listen to me. Listen to me. This is super important. Now, I don't know if it's important, but I hope it's important. No, it's not a bad night, Swap Fire, at all. I'm just, I may end up doing streams for chat for members only, because I don't mind the people that are disagreeing with me, but it really comes down to the audience. Do they like it when I yell at these idiots, or does it bother them and hurt the stream? If it hurts the stream, I'll make it members only or subs only.
Keep it open.
No, I'll keep it open for now, but I don't want to hurt the value of the show if people are sick of hearing it. Well, right? I'm not in a bad mood, but
the free part of the free chat, people come in, they engage, they talk.
Yeah, but I need to make sure that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. I don't give a fuck if somebody's in here trolling and having fun because they're picking at me and I'm picking back at them. They're like, Mom, the guy on the TV show on my phone noticed me. I don't give a fuck about them. I give a fuck about the people watching and the people watching later, if they're having a good time and want to come back and be part of the community. So there are means to an end, is what I would say. And if they hurt the other people's, enjoyment, then they're gone.
I think the few that might not enjoy it are only, they may complain if you come off as not enjoying it. But if you're fine with it.
Oh, I wouldn't do it if I wasn't having fun. I mean, you'll know, because I'll just leave the stream early. But let's talk about this. I want to show you something. Now, this is something we can all agree with. Hello, Bukaki. This is something we can all agree with. At least I hope, which is tomorrow, I think. And this is Tuesday at 3, which is noon. And so I will stream this, but I have a feeling this is probably not going to be anything exciting, but you never know. This woman was on the oversight committee. She was on the UAP committee. She's a representative of Florida. This is what's happening tomorrow. Let me play you the 30-second clip. Here we go.
One of the biggest things that I'm constantly hearing from people, and it's not just me, but I think it's been generations of congressmen, is that there was a lack of transparency in the federal government. And I think when you have that, it's actually dangerous, because that's where, conspiracy theories will form. That's where people will then lose, I think, sight and hope for their future, their nation, and then their government. And so in an effort to combat that, I have been pushing, and I'm joined now by my colleagues and have been entrusted by the Speaker of the House, by the Chairman of Oversight, and hopefully the White House to be aiding in transparency for this country. So that's your hint. One of the biggest things that I'm constantly
hearing. So she's not saying what tomorrow the reveal is. She plans to make an announcement related to government transparency at a press conference. She has been on the UAP, bipartisan UAP committees, hearings. And so there is a lot of people thinking or hoping that it is UAP related, but we don't know. So this is happening tomorrow. I'll be tuning in. I'll be streaming it either here or over on our Discord. So if you are curious, what she is talking about and what she has to say come tomorrow, then tune into the show and watch it together, and let's see what she's going to reveal. Let's get into a little drama, and then we'll get out of the drama into some weird stuff, and I'll take your calls and all that good stuff. But I want to talk about this because somebody in the chat, Eternal, says the Republicans are the party of fear mongering and conspiracy spreading. I am a independent, but I vote usually Democrat, certainly progressive. And you may or may not be surprised to find, Eternal, that the right says the exact same thing about the other side. But I do want to say, though, that at least right now, as it relates to video games, we are swimming in the disinformation of grifters and morons. This is a tweet. I'm playing a game right now, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 or Kingdom Come 2 Deliverance. I don't know what it's called. And I love it. It is absolutely fucking great. It is one of my favorite games I've played in a very long time. I'll tell you what, we're in for an amazing year if 2025 ends and this game is not in my top 10. I mean, what the hell kind of game or kind of year have we had in that case, right? But this game is amazing, and I never played the first one. And what's interesting to me about it is that the first one, I guess, there was a lot of right-wing people and red meat people that were really into it. And they liked that the pushback on a lot of the liberals was there were no black people in the game because it wasn't historically accurate, blah, 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 blah. And now it turns out that in the sequel, there are people that are like, there are people that are saying now, oh, it was all a ruse by the part of the director, this Daniel Vavra guy, because now in the sequel, you can play the character if you want as a gay guy, right? You don't have to, but if you want to, it's a simulation. You can tweak the knobs and do whatever you want. Tweak the knob. Come on. And they don't like that. And he's just like, dude, I never fucking said the dude was straight or anything. That was a community dude who worked on the Twitter account. It's a simulation. You're not into the gay folks. Don't play it gay. Problem solved. But they don't like that. So now they've decided to turn the knob up a little bit and say not only is the character gay, but he's 15. And so you basically have a gay pedophile simulator in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I had a guy call into the chat or tweet when I was playing the game this weekend. He's the guy who runs this total rag, right-wing, non-fact checked, or very sensationalistic thing called like Fandom Wire. And he was telling me this. And I said to him, I said, dude, you're the guy who published that about me and this and that. And he said, yeah. And I'm like, well, dude, you know that what you're saying, that this guy is gay and he's a kid, that's not true. And I went into it with him and he just vanished. He wouldn't respond. If you've played the game, you know he's not 15. You know the guy he can romance isn't 15. You don't send a 15-year-old, off to enemy territory to negotiate treaties for the landowners. You just don't fucking do it. But regardless, and he doesn't look 15. No one does. But here's what the director says, by the way. So the director tweets this out today, and I just wanted to show you this, and maybe people will shut the fuck up about it, but chances are they won't, because, then they got to find something new to talk about. Hans Capone is a historical character. I'm saying his name wrong, Capon, whatever. His date of birth is unknown and is probably before 1388. He got married in 1403, the year of Kingdom Come Deliverance events. His son was born in 1404. Basically he's doing the math and saying there are no children in this fucking video game. No. And it's just, and even, by the way, even if they were doing a simulation of a time, I mean, again, I don't even understand that. The only way I would know, let's say this kid was 15. The only way I would know there was something unsavory going on is if I chose to do it. It's like, well, don't do that then. Why are you worried about it? Just don't fucking do it. But anyway, the director's here with receipts, aka historical facts of dates of birth, or it being unknown, and also when the game is set, which he does know, and when he got married, which he does know, and going, you have no argument. But the people, you see, don't care. And you know what, guys watching the stream? It's not that I want to dive into drama. It's that I am flabbergasted and bamboozled by just how willing people are. Like, don't you want to believe the truth? Isn't the truth that proves your point? What a wonderful piece to discover. I think this, and I found evidence to back it up. But I think this, and I found a bunch of horse shit to back it up. You know, doesn't that bother you? This is the Asmongold part now. We're going to move into the, what, did you want me to play this Kingdom Come clip first, Tony?
That'd be good. But we also, for the people that were like giving this take on Twitter, they were like, "Oh, well, Henry's also probably a child, right? Because the gay relationship is between
Henry. Yeah, Henry is who
or
you
Henry.
play. Henry's your
Yeah.
character.
Henry was born. Here's same director, Daniel Vavra, is saying that he's a young guy in his 20s. He was born between like 1380 and 1385. And the story goes off around 1403. So at the earliest, he's 18, but the director says he's like 25.
So yeah, he's not a kid. JJD says, why do you care? Why don't you just play the game? And why revel in the horse shit? Because JJD, that's what I'm trying to explain. The horse shit bothers me because I'm surrounded clearly by a lot of people who believe it. And I find that disturbing. I'm about to show you a clip from a man who has 3.4 million followers on YouTube. I'm about to show you a clip that now, after only 3 days, 1.2 million people have watched it. 13,000 people have commented, 61,000 have liked this clip. I'm not going to show you the whole clip. It's 15 minutes. I'm going to show you the salient parts. Okay. This is Asmongold talking about something he saw somewhere, and now he's run to his camera, turned it on, and said, I'm going to share the truth with the people. Now, if what he is doing is sharing the truth, then I would tip my hat to the man and say, thank you, buddy. I didn't know that. I appreciate you bringing the truth to the people. And hell, maybe he's right and I'm wrong, but let me tell you what he says. I'll show you what he says. Then I'll show you what I consider to be the truth. And you tell me.
USA paid Politico to have Gamergate smeared. It actually fucking happened. The crazy, stupid conspiracy theory turned out to be true.
Well, you can imagine.
Okay, now that's not this. Now she's talking about something else. You can watch it on your own. She's talking now about she was in charge of USAID. She's been fired. She doesn't mention Gamergate or any of that, but that's that. But he's going to get back to it in about 6 minutes in.
Exactly. Why do you have to be so harsh? I get your point, but why do you have to be rough like this? The reason why I have to be rough like this is because these people will be just this rough to you if you try to oppose them. These are the people who tried to systematically.
By the way, the music that's him. You're going to hear music when he's speaking. Maybe it's supposed to be comedy, but that's him adding it. Just so you know, I'm not adding it.
Disenfranchise you, tried to smear you, that tried to turn you into an enemy, that tried to turn your own fan bases against you. They funded websites that published fake and false and misleading information in order to slander gamers. These people are the ones that were responsible for it. Look right here, and I'll show you. Like, people think I'm fucking crazy. I'm not.
I don't think you're crazy. I just think you're incredibly easily misled. Look at this. You're going to Grums as your source.
Look at this.
Who's been proven to tweet misinformation. He retweets, or he shows you, holy shit, says Grums, USAID paid Politico to have Gamergate smeared, is what he said. Okay.
People wonder our tax dollars used to promote wokeness in video games. Answer is yes. USAID paid Politico millions of dollars a year to write pieces like this one, which promotes diversity and describes Gamergate as disinformation and harassment campaign.
Okay, so what I would ask you, who believes this guy, like JJD says, I don't hear any lies coming out of his mouth, and I'm not even a fan. Where is the evidence of this? Okay, what I can tell you is this is the press secretary saying this. She said, I was made aware of funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in the room. The $8 million you receive ends today. Okay. But here's the truth about this that you can find if you do your research. The government, Republican, when it's been Republican run, Democrat, when it's been Democrat run, have subscribed. They didn't fund. There was no grant to Politico, right? They used government funds to subscribe to newspapers and websites for information. Okay, that has been happening since we had a government. This stuff isn't free. They have subscriptions for their employees to the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, Politico, Reuters, the AP. I'm not going to say they all did it. What I'm saying is this is not a grant. There's a difference between that would be like simply paying someone to buy their services or subscribe to their services has absolutely nothing to do with going, we're the government, we're giving you a grant, and we're telling you we want you to write these pieces that promote diversity and slams Gamergate. Do I think you should slam Gamergate? Sure, I think they were horrible. But that's not what happened, okay? And so the point is now you've got 1.3 million people, probably a lot of very easily influenced people because they're younger, because Asmongold is younger than me, which means his audience is probably younger than him. That's usually how it works. Not always, but usually. And people are now going, oh, this is truth. That should bother you. It should bother you. And it doesn't for some reason. It should bother you that this is the world that we are giving and inheriting and living in. I think it's a problem. I think it's a real fucking problem. But you know, Jaffe, I don't have to. Anthony says, why do you give this guy a platform? I don't give him. He's a huge YouTube star. I'm nothing in his world. I'm not giving him a fucking platform, but I am going to say, hey, maybe people who do have a bigger platform could bang the drum a little bit and go, hey, all governments are corrupt. Certainly the Democrats have been corrupt too. But that doesn't mean that this isn't worth talking about. You know, I don't get it. JJD says it doesn't bother me because it has no direct impact on our lives. It has every impact on your life. It absolutely does. You are continuing to support, by saying and doing nothing, a world in which lies can be spread that have they're lies. They're easily proven lies. We have a society of people who would rather not do a little research, not do a little reading, not do a little questioning. We're all going to be affected by that. Every single fucking one of us. There's the claim right there. Now, what's going to happen is Tech Protect, who just put it up, is going to say, I'll say, Tech, where are you getting this from? That they're saying that the claim was false. He'll say, oh, I'm getting it from Snopes, or I'm getting it from Fact Finder. Oh, they're in the pocket of the Dems. It's like, okay, well, go show me someone that has a valid bona fides. Doesn't have to be the New York Times, but it says publicly available records show in 2023, 2024. The USAID paid a total of $44,000 to Politico, and the payments were earmarked for subscriptions. No other transactions between the USAID and Politico were listed for the entire previous decade. Okay, so if you're here trolling, that's cool. But if you actually are trying to defend the horse shit that Asmongold was spewing, and if you like Asmongold, that's great too, but maybe you should go over to his site or to his page, whatever the fuck his channel, and say, hey man, by the way, I love you. You're the knees bees, pal. But you probably want to do a little bit more research before you start spewing shit, especially when you put patriotic music behind you, trying to make it sound like, and listen to what he says about these people, by the way.
So this is the thing, guys. I want these people to suffer because that's what they did to me. I want to set an example. Get rid of these people. Put them like completely out of their jobs. Get rid of them. Make an example of them. Say, listen, this is what happens. Gamers rise up. What goes around? Yep, what goes around comes around. And we're coming.
For what reason? You fucking man-child. For what reason are you coming? Politico did nothing to you. They may have written an article you didn't like, but hey, freedom of speech. That freedom is the same thing that lets you come onto your fucking show and spew what you're spewing. And I guarantee you, Politico probably has a much higher fact correct check than you do. So what's the problem, Asmongold?
I'll tell you that. Cry more? We don't need to anymore. That's for them. So, yeah.
Oh, I can't either, Bukaki. Bukaki says, I can't tell if this guy's doing satire or not. I mean, maybe that's the brilliance of him. Maybe most people are like, dude, this guy's like Andy Kaufman. He's playing a character, to which I would say, fuck, he's good. He's really fucking good, because that's awesome. But if he's serious, oh my God, man. What a delusional. No, it will be worse. Because if he's serious and that he knows it's bullshit, but he's spewing it to millions of people, holy shit. Holy shit. What a jerk.
Hold them accountable? Absolutely.
For
Watching
what?
this like a breath of fresh air? No, I know. There's a lot of people. Trump's about to sign more orders. I'll look at that in a minute.
Hold them accountable for what? Subscribing to some news sources? Oh my God. All right. Well, anyway. Okay. Yeah, whatever. I don't really believe you to an extent. He says a lot of people have lost their jobs because of woke cancel culture. I need you to define what a lot is, and I need you to tell me what they lost their jobs for. My guess is if somebody the total wasn't 4.5 million. In fact, we just looked at the total. It was 44,000, and it wasn't for what they said it was. It was for subscriptions. But the point though, yeah, the internet has collectively made people dumber, says 2D Man. Right. You say he's definitely playing a character. I hope so. I mean, I hope so, but shit, I like to think I'm pretty fucking savvy. I don't care how much it was, BD. This has been going on for 10 years when Trump was in the White House the first time, when Biden was in the White House. This is not new. And whether or not you think the cost for whatever that subscription is was overpriced or not, then say that. Stand up before the American people as the press secretary, as Trump, as this Asmongold guy, and say it's ridiculous to get the data we need to run the country that we think is valuable, that we need multiple $10,000 a year subscriptions. That's a valid conversation piece. But to say they were paying a news source to write this specific story, do I believe the government would do that? Of course they would do that if they could. So would Trump. So would Biden. They all would. That's what they do. It's called propaganda. But if you don't have the evidence of that, then, well, I'm not including Obama because I don't think it was 10 years, but sure, throw Obama in there too if it fits the time. Anyway, it's a big deal. It's a real big fucking deal. You know, people are stupid, man. Maybe you're not around stupid people as much as I am. I don't fucking know. But it worries me people are so fucking stupid. I mean, literally, you've got to, I don't know. Hey, but call in. I'll farm the engagement. You wanna fucking tell me I'm wrong? Call in. We'll get the comments going, blah, blah, blah. But we don't have to. We can talk about the state of play that's coming up. I mean, there's not much to say other than it's rumored that it's going to be coming this week. Is it this week, right? Rumored it's going to be coming Thursday, I think, is the plan. Necro says, character or not, Asmongold is still a piece of shit for willfully misleading people for financial gain and clout. People being so easily manipulated are just as guilty. I have more beef, I guess, with someone who does it and misleads people, because if people are too busy in their lives, or if people are they didn't have an education on media literacy or whatever, I feel for those people, because that's really shitty to do to them, is what I would say. All right, well, here's somebody who I usually do disagree with. Let's see his take on it. This is Embers Arcade. Embers Arcade, what's up, man?
Hi, David Jaffe. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Just getting off work, and I wanted to catch your show and maybe contribute a bit to the conversation.
Sure. What do you think about all this?
So I think it's pretty clear that with this Politico specific issue, that what Asmongold is saying is absolutely false. It's, having looked into it myself, it seems like the records indicate that $44,000 were spent on subscriptions and not $8.1 million, as was
right.
claimed.
But just for a moment, even if it was 8 million, which is insane, of course, the bigger point is there's a difference between subscribing to something and going, take this money and you write what we tell you to write. Correct?
Correct. And I'm not sure if the consternation could be like $44,000 is also a lot of money. Like an unreasonable amount of money that I wouldn't expect anybody would have to pay to give their staff a subscription. That does seem strange on its face anyway. But I think that the thing that
just so we're clear, my understanding is this guy keeps writing in saying it was 10,000 a subscriber. So let's say they had 4 subscriptions.
I have info on that.
Okay.
So Politico offers essentially a business suite that is more access than the public gets. Stuff that probably doesn't get published. It's just as much information as they can have, and the graphics.
Okay, you got to shut the window, or we got to mute you, Tech.
That's not my dog.
I know, but you said that's
Embers.
through the fucking window.
That's me. That's me.
Oh Jesus, Ember, kill the fucking dog.
Don't kill the dog. Anyways, the U.S. does pay for a updated level of access to Politico and other news organizations to get as much information as possible.
So it's like LexisNexis, or it's like when you're a lawyer, your law firm pays for a suite to a search
way
engine.
Higher access.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In addition, for the people that make the claims like even that is crazy, like the government spending is wild. Would they rather the government invest millions of dollars into making their own news network that is like?
But it doesn't. Right. But
it's going to go do the research themselves.
But that's a fantastic. I would agree with you, but that is a totally different topic. That is going, hey, should we be spending government money to get this data or not? And at what cost? Okay, let's have a real substantive conversation about the price that these things cost and what value it is. But that is not what's happening. What we're talking about is what Asmongold is saying, and what the press secretary is allowing and also supporting is the money was paid to Politico in order to manipulate writing for Politico. And there's zero evidence of that. And then you've got people like Mercury Machines. Let's for the moment give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's not a troll. We literally just showed you where it was 44,000 and you're writing it was 100% 8 million. So I'll tell you what, Mercury, why don't you offer up some evidence of that? Because otherwise, no. Okay, Embers, continue. I'm sorry.
Well, so a couple of things. I was mostly going to zero in on what he was saying afterwards. Right?
Okay.
So he talks about the $8 million. He talks about it, sort of making the accusation that the money was being used to fund counter progressive, I don't know how else to call that, sentiment online. And then he says, I want these people to suffer. Yeah. And I think that there's something more to that. I mean, he's using, I think, this information really unwisely to speak about a larger sentiment, which is that I don't necessarily think that you need to illicitly fund this counter progressive. There's got to be a better word for that sentiment from people like Asmongold. This is sort of like cancel culture, I think, lives on its own, and the instinct to socially police thought with the threat of public humiliation, career destruction, reputation destruction. I think that is something that is observed among progressive circles. It's a progressive instinct in the broadly Western left, and I think his consternation is about that feeling of like the Chris Avalones of the world, for example, that were crucified because of an accusation that was later deemed extremely false. Or you think about Vincent Gennito, for example, who's another person who was largely blameless of the thing that he was accused of and ousted from the games industry as a result of the accusation. Creators like Zeppela, for example, who are accused of being transphobic for playing Hogwarts Legacy and were attempted to be ousted from the gaming world as a result. And Asmongold himself. Yeah.
Well, okay. So first off, if Asmongold, I maybe we would both agree on this point. If Asmongold has an actual issue, it would be great, given his reach and his platform, that he did a little bit more work and put a little bit more effort into expressing what was actually bothering him. Would you agree with that? Because what he's bitching about here is really giving a lot of fuel to a very false narrative.
I don't know where the responsibility lies for that, though. I mean, so I understand what you're saying. And I think what you're saying is totally reasonable, that he has a lot of reach and should be careful about what he says. But I
Not
think,
for any legal reason, just because it's the right thing to do. I'm not saying you better be careful. I mean, maybe, but not. I'm just saying I think it's irresponsible.
well, and I think that that's a reasonable position to take. I don't know that it's incredibly obvious that the responsibility is on his shoulders. He is a man in a room. He has hired 2 editors to put this content out, and they put the silly music and the funny edits, and he plays video games and talks about video games for the most part. And I wonder if it wouldn't be more useful to place the onus of responsibility for truth on the viewer and not the creator, when we have a world like this where the barriers of entry are totally gone and anyone can just do this, right? It's like, how much responsibility does he have, and at what point in his growth and his ascension did he take on that responsibility as
define responsibility. For me, I'm not saying legally. I'm not saying I'm talking just morally. I think if he knows what he's doing or doesn't care about spreading misinformation, I think that speaks poorly to his character. I don't think that you can say, oh, well, yeah, it's not my problem. Yeah, it's totally your problem. You don't have to do anything about it. I would defend his right to not do anything about it as long as he doesn't break the law. But I think it does paint him as a pretty low-class human. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, in layman terms, it is, can we call him an asshole? And I would say, yeah, he's an asshole for doing this to his audience.
I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know him. He's probably.
I don't. Okay. Then
I'll call him an asshole.
Let's reframe it then. Wait. Let's reframe it, because I want to be clear on this. When you say you wouldn't, I don't know him as a human. Okay. Do you think? I think what Tech is saying is the act of doing this and doing it, if he's doing it knowingly, is a asshole move.
Well, that's the point. That's the big point right there, is whether he's doing things knowingly. Now, you asked before to define responsibility. I would define in this context responsibility as being the point at which you assign shame to his actions because of his importance as a public figure, which is what you're doing. You're saying morally, it's probably bad for him to go out and do what it is that he's doing if he's knowingly spreading misinformation. I don't know that we know that he's morally spreading misinformation.
I would disagree with the premise that it requires him to either be knowingly doing it or not knowingly doing it. I think at the point where you're getting millions of views on a clip that is saying don't trust your government because they're trying to dissuade you with like an information campaign that is like paying companies that are well known and they have credence to lie to you. Him saying that statement without having the research, which took 1 minute to look up, is already enough. Right? If you're going to be someone who's going to like, hey, this is the reality of the world you live in, and you don't spend the time to look into it, even if you're doing it unwillingly or unknowingly, you're an asshole.
I just don't know that I would make that, because so like, let's say David Jaffe comes out and says something like demonstrably untrue, and that specific clip reaches as many people as it would have reached.
Jaffe's an asshole. Yeah.
Well, but I don't.
Well, wait a minute though. Here's the difference. Maybe. Is if you could point out to me that I have said something that is demonstrably untrue, and trust me, my reach ain't nowhere near this guy's reach. I always walk it back. Even with the Vera Dark thing, where people said I made a sexist comment, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't care. It was meant to be hurtful. It was meant to hurt her feelings, like she had tried to hurt my feelings. When it was pointed out to me, certain things she had done beyond just what I had said she was only good at, I did walk it back. I said, I still don't like what she said about me. I meant to hurt her with my comment, but you know what? I do walk that back because people pointed out to me that she is a bona fide gamer and she streams games and she can talk about games. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I would walk it back. There's no shame to me in being wrong about something and then learning and going, oh, I was wrong. That's actually a sign of I admire that in people. That means they are smart and they're growing and they're willing to have open minds.
And there's as much a possibility of Asmongold doing the same thing and being like, oh my God, the numbers are totally off. He's apologized for things that he said before. I think he's apologized about some of the comments he's made about Israel and Palestine. It's not. I don't think it's beyond him to do that.
Okay, great. Then he should do that.
Well, so the thing is that I don't know.
He has a track record, though, is the issue of just like jumping to conclusions, push it out there, fuck everyone else. I don't care if the truth is gonna come later. He's just willing to just fucking throw information out. And not to talk about the thing that happened Thanksgiving with Jaffe. But Jaffe makes a video about some other YouTuber, but he doesn't say a name. And immediately he's like, "Who the fuck is this Jaffe guy shitting on me? Like, I can't believe he's some nobody trying to like take me about who I am." And then at the end of the video, he's like, "Oh, I guess he wasn't talking about me."
Yeah,
Like, it doesn't
I
matter.
never even watched Asmongold until that. I knew of him. I knew his name. I got him mixed up with that Afmal lady, or the woman who did the hot tub streams, whatever her name was. What was
Anareth.
Emirath or something.
Emirath,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then there's Afmal that my kids like that does the YouTube of the Minecraft. So I'm like, yeah, I want, but regardless though,
He has a history of just jumping the gun.
But that's fine. Ember, you don't think he's an asshole. Totally fine. So what do you think we're missing in this conversation? And what did you call in to share?
Well, the thing that I wanted to focus on was that consternation that he expressed after the points that he missed about the $8 million, saying that we want these people to suffer. We want them. I want to go after them the way they went after me. And I don't know that it isn't unfair. Like, I mean, I don't think that it's good to desire vengeance in general, but I can see why a person like him would feel attacked by an industry that has developed an adversarial relationship with its user base, as we've seen in the gaming industry.
That's not accurate at all. I'm sorry, but that you to say that the industry has developed an adversarial relationship with their user base is a real big blanket statement that doesn't really cover the nuance and importance of that. What you are right about, Ember, is are there developers that think there are a bunch of really vocal fucking assholes that they absolutely hate? Yes, 100%. And they have expressed that. But I don't think most people who make video games or any kind of creative work think that represents the majority of the audience.
Okay, but I'm not sure that I understand the difference here. Is that the
difference is you can hate, you can go, hey, I created Disneyland. I love 95% of the audience that comes here. It's so awesome. And then there's 5% who come here that are loud, obnoxious, racist creeps, and I fucking hate them.
But how do we know that it's 5%? And how do we know that the people that are the receiving end of the consternation of the gaming industry are what you say they are, which are these extreme bigots and not just people that have some issue with ideas being put in their games that maybe aren't litigated, that haven't been tested, that aren't based in anything real?
Because the things that when these people in video games say this about these people, they're talking about specific quotes and YouTubers and tweets online. They're not just saying, they never say we hate all gamers. Like one guy's like, one guy was being hyperbolic, but most of them are not really going around going, I hate everybody who plays video games. What they're saying is just like, I don't hate every Catholic person, but do I hate the Catholic priests that have molested the kids? Yeah, you goddamn right. And the ones that let them get away with it, you goddamn right. And I bet you do too, as a Catholic.
Well, okay, yeah, yes, but like that's a whole different. Do you want to talk about that?
No, what I'm saying is obviously when people are making those blanket statements, it would be nice if they were being more specific, but I don't think you really want to build a case around the idea that the game development industry has basically come out and planted a flag and said, we hate all of our customers or even a vast majority or a majority of our customers. There's no evidence of that.
Well, I don't think that you're going to, well, I mean, are there pro-life developers in the industry?
I'm sure.
I think I knew of one. He's the one that made Five Nights at Freddy's, and he was roundly admonished by the industry at large.
But what does that even? I don't understand.
What I'm saying is that
when you talk about that, like, because you're talking about Asmongold has a right because this happened to him, and I'm kind of going.
I'm not talking about rights. I'm talking about the fact that there is a sentiment that I don't think is based in nothing. Now, I would agree with you for the most part when you're looking at people like Grums and a lot of the anti-woke content creators out there that I think it's absolutely true that their primary motivation has nothing to do with a social cause. And I don't think that they're even equipped to be champions of a social cause that they believe that they're a part of. I'm with you on that.
Okay.
At what point would you call Asmongold an asshole? Because, the Lord teaches not to seek vengeance.
Tech. Hang on. I want to stick with this, but do me a favor. While he's talking about this, can you look up the guy that he was mentioning that Ember said was removed from the industry, but he didn't do anything wrong?
He wasn't removed. He came out as pro-life. He came out as
no, not that guy. You said there was a guy that
Chris Avalon.
Yeah, look him up. I don't even know who he's talking about, but look him up. Look up what he was reported to have done, and if you could do that while Ember continue, please.
Right. So I don't think that the sentiment that Asmongold is expressing, which is this feeling that from, for instance, the gaming publication at large, which is smaller than it was many years ago, has fostered some kind of an adversarial relationship and a highly politically active campaign in the works that they put out. I mean, I always point to the mention of Joe Biden becoming president in Kotaku's PS5 review. It's like, what are we doing here?
But you've just mentioned two things. There's a difference between forming an adversarial relationship with people and going, we're going to write about games from a progressive bent. IGN didn't do that. Game Informer didn't do that.
Well, I think
that certainly there are.
I think that they're inexorably tied, and I think that it has to do with the way.
Okay, but give me an IGN or give me a mainstream gaming source that has been. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but when you mention Kotaku's like mentioning the NRA when you're trying to find somebody non-biased about gun control, and then acting confused that, well, the NRA wants guns. It's like, well, yeah, that's what Kotaku does. Just like Fox is going to be right and MSNBC is going to be left. But if you want to take your argument, can you apply it to something that's more an IGN, a Game Informer, a GameSpot, something that never really tried to be about anything other than video games?
I mean, I would tie. I think that Kotaku was at one point a very different publication than it is lately. I think that at some point, like maybe 10 years ago, it wasn't seen as this progressive kind of outlet the way that it is today. So with that, I mean, that is an example of a site that changed. I used to go to Kotaku quite a lot because I felt
but is it not allowed? First off, I would argue that might not be right because more than 10 years ago, they were accusing me of being misogynist and sexist. So
I mean, and maybe it was longer, but they used to have they had an adversarial relationship with the industry that they were covering. Like they would get blacklisted by publishers because of how aggressive that. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. That was really interesting back then.
But are they not allowed to change? I mean, so they change.
No,
so
but
I'm not your business elsewhere.
Question on the Chris Avalon thing, because I see people in chat saying, "Oh, he was barred because of his right-leaning views." Is it not related to his sexual assault allegations that got settled in 2020?
Right. Yeah. So Chris Avalon was accused of sexual assault by 2 women. There was a year-plus long investigation. He was ousted from, I forget, I think was it Ubisoft, which developer he was with?
He was with Fallout. So Bethesda, I would say.
But yeah, so he was removed. He lost his position there. About a year and a half, I think, later, he came out countersued, I think, the 2 women, and it was such a damning countersuit that the women actually had to publish a public apology for falsely accusing him of sexual assault, which just almost destroyed his career. But it required, how many tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees, and of course the destruction of his reputation. Even today, I don't think that he's going to be able to go far on the internet without somebody being like, "Aren't you the guy that raped those 2 girls?" because of how reputation works. But that's an example.
Not to belittle that claim. Jaffe knows a little bit about the industry. What does a writer get paid in the game industry? Is it?
I think it totally depends on a million. There's no answer to that, really.
Yeah, because it looks like the lawsuit, he got paid out. It says upper 7 figures payment for the lawsuit, including or like not including legal fees. That's paid for separately.
Right, but what you're saying though is, let's say everything about what you've just said is true, and I'm not going to do the research. I'm going to take you at your word. So let's say Chris Avalon never did anything wrong to these women. For whatever reason, they decided to get together and say, let's sue this stupid motherfucker for take him for a ride. They did, which is not allowed. I mean, it's allowed. You can sue anybody for anything, but he was able to say, yeah, that's not true. And I have the levers of the legal system to defend me. And it sounds like you're saying he used those levers that are afforded him and everybody else, ideally, to say, I'm innocent. And it doesn't sound, I mean, it sounds like, let's just take you for your word and say that it was settled, but they also, part of the settlement was saying we lied about what Chris did. Okay. So, what you're really bitching about then is just two asshole women that falsely accuse somebody, and thank God they got their comeuppance, right?
But what I think is that that's an example of a weaponized form of like social public humiliation that comes from the progressive mindset.
Okay.
So, but let me say.
I just wanted that claim.
Let him go. Let him speak though, because I have a thought too. But let's let him get his point.
It's been evident to me, having just seen the world for the last decade and a half, that I've been politically aware, that the weapons that politically progressive people tend to use to advance some kind of a campaign is usually to, it's public humiliation, it's reputation destruction, it's ousting from polite society. We see this in what is cancel culture. And now that they're not exclusive, it's not an exclusive activity of progressives, but it is a weapon that I see wielded quite a lot from that side of the political aisle. Now,
It's not a progressive thing. It's a human thing, right? We see
I
all
was
this
gonna
deep.
say,
Like,
you think
I'm not going to buy Assassin's Creed because I'm playing as a black guy. I don't like it. So
or let's boycott Target because they've got rainbows on their clothes.
Yeah, I mean, when was it not a position of the right to say, oh, this guy possibly sexually assaulted women? Oh, I'm still going to support him. There's people on the right that are like, I don't like that guy now.
Neither side, I'm sorry, but neither side has a monopoly on utilizing shame and humiliation in order to shut people up and get them to fall into line.
Now, I definitely have said that it's not an exclusive weapon of the progressive American left. It is a favorite weapon of the American progressive left. You could ask anybody that's been around and awake. And I don't think that you have somebody like Chris Avallone experience the kind of reputation destruction and ousting from polite society that he did without the progressive fervor behind the Me Too movement, a very important movement to talk about something that was like a sickness in Hollywood, for example, that was rampant and should continue to be investigated.
Okay,
but the fervor behind him being removed from his position was
take on things would go down a lot easier with someone like me if you weren't adding little this. And again, I don't know how disingenuous. I know you're a smart guy. You're an articulate guy. Can you mute when someone else is talking?
Yeah. Sorry.
But I don't know how much of it is you're doing intentional, how much of it is you're not doing it at all, and you would walk it back if you knew what you were doing. But when you add things like the Me Too movement and it needing to be in existence because of the evil that you didn't say evil, but whatever you said about Hollywood, you had me until you had to throw in Hollywood. I mean, the idea that Hollywood is somehow the place where child molestation happens and abuse happens and sexism and rape, that shit is happening everywhere, all over, as it always has been, and it's tragic. And I could probably look at data to suggest that in the last 50 years there have been more pedophiles that have been brought into light or sexual assaults that have come from religious institutions. There was one just this weekend where this pastor was driving around in his van exposing himself to little girls.
Yeah. So
why don't we? So why do you need to throw Hollywood in, or why do you need to throw the left in when we can agree that both sides have these awful people? Because I'm sure the right will use whatever they can if they're not smart people and they're not thinking people and they just care about winning, just like the left will, to get their way.
The reason why I brought up Hollywood is only to recount the history of that movement, which I think began because of the Harvey Weinstein scandal. That's all I was saying. I wasn't trying to make any kind of commentary. If I remember correctly.
But you said it like it needs to continue in Hollywood.
Well, yeah, because it is.
But how about everywhere?
Well, yeah, well, definitely, sure. But I mean, I could go down the list. God, I mean, we could go back to the Franklin Credit Union scandal of 1989 in Omaha, Nebraska, is one of the greatest pedophile ring cover-ups in the history of America. I mean, everybody should go look at. If you're in chat right now, Franklin Credit Union scandal, look it up. It's incredibly.
It sounds terrible. It's
horrible. But yeah, these pedophile rings and these things like that, or these sexual abuse rings that occur are.
So yeah, and Matt Gaetz, right? But wouldn't you agree though that the idea that this bad stuff happened to people, because you're saying Asmongold, if we get back to Asmongold, you're saying he has a bee in his bonnet because people treated him and made accusations about him that were not true, and it cost him. That's your point, correct?
Well, yeah, I think that.
So can you speak to those accusations? What was he accused of doing other than sleeping with roaches, literally, that cost him? I heard this guy got really well known for, was it like covering the Johnny Depp trial or something, and he suddenly took off like a rocket?
No, he's been making World of Warcraft content since 2013.
Okay, Jaffe is a little accurate. It was that trend that got him front page.
Okay, so what happened to the guy? What is he upset about?
Well, the issue is, it's depending on what you think is worth the cost, as you said, it cost him something, right? So what I would say is I would point to the several tweets that are made about him, accusing him of of things like racism and bigotry and all sorts of transphobia and all these extreme ideas that I'm not sure are obvious to me are true, but they get 46,000 likes. They get,
Wait, just take
8
one of
million
those.
views.
So you're saying Asmongold was accused of making a tweet that he made or didn't make?
Asmongold is frequently accused of being the worst things that you can be as a human being.
Okay, but
I
know, but give me a specific, because that's fine, and that must suck to be on the receiving end. But I'm sure the money makes it go down easier. But regardless, though, it's still shitty if that's the case. So can you tell me a specific thing that he was accused of saying or being that turned out not to be accurate?
Well, I think it depends on who you are. There are lots of tweets that you can go find if you just name search Asmongold on Twitter of people calling him a racist, people calling him a transphobe. I don't know that those are things that are true based on.
But let's just take one. Let's go down the rabbit hole briefly. Let's if you can do that, if that's not an oxymoron. But what should I'm on Google. What do I look up? Asmongold and
Asmongold transphobe, I guess. I mean,
transphobe. Okay.
Yeah. So you have to understand, Jaffe, like when you ask for these specifics, I understand why you're. I mean, it makes sense to ask for them, but
you're bringing them up though.
Well, but what I'm not saying that you're not supposed to be bringing them up. What I do have plenty of things in mind. I have years and years and years of opening Twitter and seeing a viral post that makes fun of his teeth and that makes fun of his hair, makes fun of the way that he talks, that says that he's a racist, he's a bigot.
Who gives a shit? Welcome to the spotlight. That's nothing.
But you asked about what it cost, right? And so when millions and millions of people direct that kind of animosity towards you, it has an effect. It absolutely does. Wait a
minute. So what you're saying now, you're saying something very different. If you're saying people are bullying this guy and he lashes out, yeah, just like I would look at a school shooter and say there's no forgiveness and there's no validity to what they did. But sure, I understand what made them snap. Okay, sure. If people made fun of Asmongold all day long because of his teeth and how he spoke, maybe he would have a right to be mad at people. But that doesn't necessarily, or it doesn't at all, give him the right to spread misinformation.
I'm not saying it gives him the right to spread misinformation. And again, that comes back to whether or not we believe or he can be proven to have done that willfully as an act of real disinformation. It's like, I am trying to deceive my audience. Can you prove that? That's going to be a tough one. I don't know. And I mean, I can leave that up to you. But what I'm saying is that Asmongold has been associated with the anti-woke crowd without him ever doing it. He's been associated with chuds. That's the word that progressives tend to like to use. Is he's sort of like the proto chud. He's the king of chuds, and he is constantly associated with bigotry and accused of a bigotry that I'm not sure is obvious that he's guilty of. And I mean, I think that the onus.
But you must. I hear what you're saying, and on the surface it sounds logical. But when you say the onus is on others to say he is that, but you can't really bring up any specifics, it makes me go, well, maybe the onus is on you. Because I'm looking at one right now. It took me 5 seconds. This is one, and I don't know if this makes him a transphobe. Probably not, but it is kind of a shitty thing. But I support his right to have this view. He said, if you want to avoid clowns on Twitter, a good rule is to stay away from people who have pronouns in their bio. Now, I think there's an absolute perfect reason to have pronouns in your bio, but he has every right, and I support his right to think that I'm a clown because I put pronouns in my bio. Is that what you're talking about? That makes people say he's a transphobe?
That's a good example of something that he has said that people will take and say, that makes him transphobic. And I'm not sure that that's necessarily what that means. As far as I understand, Asmongold is extremely libertarian. I don't think that he would even be considered a conservative by conservative standards. He seems like a socially liberal, economically fiscal libertarian is okay. I mean, as far as I can see, he's as much of an ally as you might have been in 2004 if you were somebody that was watching Bill Maher or Jon Stewart or something. He's one of those kinds of.
Okay, so great. So he's misunderstood by some people,
right? But the thing is that because of the size and scope of his reach, it doesn't matter what he is as an individual. He represents to the sort of the progressive contingent of this space He's like a manifestation of the counter progressive, of the chud, so to speak.
Okay.
I
Well, I mean,
can't stand that word.
that's the nature of standing, of making a conscious choice to stand in the spotlight,
Right,
right?
but the thing is that the truth is that he is an individual and is responding to what has been, from my perspective, and I'm sure to his perspective, a concerted effort, a politically motivated concerted effort to constantly go after his reputation.
People don't like him because he seems like an asshole, and maybe a bunch of people on the left fundamentally look at people like that and say he seems like a fucking asshole. But
and that's
but I mean, so what? I mean, you were just on Colin's group show. People, my understanding is they liked the people who watched it liked it. You're trying to build a name for yourself on YouTube and in social media. There will be a point where if you do become successful, you will have a right as a human, but no one will have sympathy for you if you become successful enough that you become bigger than the individual and you become the brand, which you don't enter into this unless you want to be that brand. You don't get to whine and bitch about it and get any sympathy.
you do get to whine and bitch about it.
The whole sentence was you don't get to bitch and whine about it and get any sympathy. You can, I would defend
you might get sympathy. you might not. Who knows?
From most logical people, that would be like me bitching about the fact that if I lose viewers because of this show, because we've spent the last hour talking about political grifter right-wing YouTube drama, and I go, but what do you mean you don't want to watch my show anymore? And they're like, well, Jaffe, I like you only when you talk about games. That's not fair. It's like, well, that's my bed. I've made it. I'm lying in it. I'm choosing to do that.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. And I apologize.
No, you get my point. Keep going. Where'd he go? Did we lose him? Text?
No, he's coming back. He's rejoining, but yeah,
okay.
Asmongold's a bitch. I'm saying it.
Okay. Doug, I don't understand. This is the problem I have sometimes, Doug. Doug's like, Jaffe's such a hypocrite. This shit is so stupid. Explain to me why I'm a hypocrite. Don't call me a hypocrite and not explain it. Okay, Ember, we lost you for some reason. What were you saying?
Oh, I'm here. Well, but the thing that I came on to say is that the consternation at the end of that clip, I think, is founded in something real. I do believe that if you look back through the recent decade, that the reputation destruction I think that he has been a victim of, and that other people in the gaming industry and outside of the gaming industry have been a victim of, is something that we observe as a progressive tendency. It's a progressive behavior. Not always, not exclusively. You're right. There are going to be parents who see a pride flag on a pair of underwear and be like, well, boycott Target. And, sure, that's an example of something similar, of a sort of an ostracization of a business as a result of a political stance.
Do you really in your heart of hearts think, and if you do, I think that's really fascinating and disturbing, not you, but it maybe shines a light why this conversation is never ending, not you and I, but just the argument en masse is never ending, which is when you say that ostracization and shaming and humiliating the other side tends to be a weapon of the left. And I'm a kid who grew up liberal. And even though I'm not Jewish now, I was raised Jewish in the South. And all I knew about the conservative right was, you guys are going to hell. You don't believe in God. You're going to burn for eternity. You're awful. You're hated. All of these anti-Semitic, or to my black friends, racist comments. The idea that you would assume that is a weapon used primarily by the left, I think both sides use that equally whenever they can. I just think it's, and again, I'm not trying to convince you. What's fascinating to me is it's like, wow, if your perspective really is that that's mostly a left thing, I can tell you, Ember, that my perspective and my history is that I think it's 50-50. I think people will pick that up and use it whenever they can.
I think that, and this speaks to our different ages, right? We have, I think, 20 years between us. I'm 31.
Yeah.
No, I'm old enough to have remembered that the Republican Party, or the conservative American contingent, was at one point the party of that same kind of technique in the past, maybe before 2008. They were the party of being so incredibly concerned about what you do in your bedroom and what you do with your own personal liberty and so on. Yeah, for sure. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I was as liberal as it comes. In college, I would have identified myself as a feminist Marxist. Mm-hmm. the thing is that while you're probably right that it is 50-50 on a macro scale across history, I don't think that it's 50-50 at any given point. I think that does swing as a pendulum. And I think right now the left across Western culture is more interested in utilizing that weapon of ostracization, public humiliation, reputation destruction, yada, 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 than the American right is, or at least the broader right across the Western culture.
I'll let my trans son and his friends know that it's the left that's actually shaming the other side. He will be thrilled to know that.
Well, I mean, I can tell you now that I've absolutely been discriminated against heavily and mistreated by leftists because of my Catholicism.
How?
Oh my God. I mean, I'm called. I mean, everything that from you believe in a fairy tale. You're so stupid.
Well, people. That's an opinion, but okay, but so people have shamed your.
I mean, I get it all the time. I live in Los Angeles, Jaffe. Everywhere I go, if I mention my Catholicism.
But no one's trying to legislate, are they? Your ability to continue to pray to the Christ?
God, I hope not. And that would go against the First Amendment. Thank God for that.
God, I hope not.
But that's happening on the other side, though, right? You guys, your side is trying to legislate what my son and his friends can do. They're trying to legislate, a number of. Well, let's forget DEI. Let's just take the LGBT and specifically the trans community. They're trying to say you can and cannot do this. You can't have a passport, for example.
And then I'd like to make it clear. I'd like to make it very clear for progeny, for anyone listening to this in the future. I am not a Republican. I'm absolutely not a Republican. I am a Catholic. That's true.
And then also socially, outside of legislation, socially, there's like how many news articles about Kingdom Come Deliverance has so many Catholic references, and you have to pass certain missions. There's like prayers that you have to do correctly to be able to get to the next stage, right? But how many are going to say there's a gay scene? And I think that's fucking gross. That's inconsiderate for the time period.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I haven't played Kingdom
I've
Come.
played it, and I can tell you that as a agnostic atheist, I have no problem role playing as a Christian.
And I think it makes sense that Catholicism would play a major role in that game's story because it's Europe, it's the 14th century. But so
why can't homosexuality also be in there without it being pro homosexuality? You don't
I
be homosexual.
Yeah, I'm not one of the people that would say that it's an outrage that there's a homosexual scene in that game. Homosexuality is a thing that exists. It's real. It's existed for a very long time. I mean that doesn't bother me at all. All I've been saying here, and the reason why I called was just to point out that consternation I don't think is unfounded, and that I do think
he can be upset all he wants. I don't think that gives him a free pass to spread information that is knowingly false, or it gives him a free pass to be irresponsible with the size of his audience, not double and triple checking before he speaks.
I think that
he's walking it back when he realizes, hey man, there's some facts here. And he says, you know what, audience, I'm sorry. We put this video out a few days ago. This is not actually what the facts bear out. And I'm sorry. And I apologize.
Yeah, and maybe he will. And it's very likely that he won't. But I want to point out one thing here is that
point out, you get the last word, then we'll let you go.
A lot of the aggrieved sentiment from people like Asmongold, or people that would align themselves politically with Asmongold, or even just the idea of Asmongold metaphysically, are responding to what I think is a very real behavior from the progressive left, and this could be good or bad depending on who you are. But I do think that there is a tendency to establish ideas that have not been litigated by anything rigorous and claim them as normal, and then chastise people that aren't willing to claim them as normal in order to establish them as normal and as things that should be a part of society. So,
oh wait, are you still there?
Yeah, sorry.
Hello.
Did you lose me?
Yeah, I got you back though. So are you suggesting that not legally, but societally, we should put more value on when people say something without backing it up with evidence? We shouldn't be so quick to believe it.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I would absolutely agree with that. I know that you're making reference to Asmongold, but I also agree with you.
No, I was making a reference to religion, but Asmongold tracks as well.
We have evidence.
Okay, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go, Ember.
We can let everybody
call back. See you later, bud. I gave him the last word, but I couldn't help with that one. Let me get some of these real quick. Jaffe is only talking about Asmongold because he knows it'll get clipped for more views. So, yes, That's not the only reason. I don't talk about things that I don't find interesting. But yes, do I think there's a possibility that it will get more views? I do. Is that good for me? It is. It's the last part of your sentence that I have a problem with. Isn't that the definition of grifting? I get that language is fluid, but lately it's become so fluid that it's meaningless. Fluid to me means in 30 years, the definition of this slowly morphed into this. But no, that's not at all the definition of grifting. That's the definition of marketing. Grifting is lying in order to take someone's money. It's basically committing a version of fraud. So when I call someone a grifter, to me, it means they knowingly are lying and they're doing it for profit or for money in general. Which is why some of the people on the right are not grifters and some of them are. But I think they're misinformed or liars regardless. Doug says Jaffe defends Alyssa from harassment and supports her lawsuit, but is fine with people insulting Asmongold. I don't defend Alyssa Mercante for anything. She doesn't need me to defend her for shit. Do I happen to agree with her perspective in what I've read in the lawsuit over the Smash guy? I do. If that's me, I'm defending what I consider the truth. But if Smash JT comes out with evidence that his take is the truth, even though I still think he's a piece of shit, I would go, well, end of the day, we're talking about legal things and he's right, she's wrong. And am I fine with people insulting Asmongold? I don't like people insulting anybody, but if he's going to be a dick, certainly I think, he's put himself out there to say, okay, well, you can't be surprised when someone's a dick to him. I think we had some super chats, or at least one. Let me get that real quick.
Also, it was me that called him a dick. Fuck you, Asmongold.
I mean, he may very well be a dick, and he may very well be somebody worth saying fuck you to. I don't know, but I don't have any data with this guy really. Okay, Pompish, thank you, buddy. He says Jaffe has changed my mind about multiple subjects. Thank you, sir. John Utah, though, did not like that conversation. He says, this stopped being an interesting conversation 30 minutes ago. The thought that Asmongold should not be held accountable for what he says is absurd. Absurd, says good sir Johnny. And then Bitrate says, bruh, you keep riding them waves, dude. Yeah, I'm too old to know what the fuck he's talking about. What does that mean, Tech? You're a young kid. What does keep riding them waves mean?
I thought you were like a California guy, no?
Yeah, but I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Cha, brother, let's get on the waves, bro.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
I
don't know what he's talking about. Okay. All right. Well, there's that story. So we did that. Let's keep going.
Do the TikToks.
Yeah, let's look at the TikToks real quick. These are related to these are there's my brother. I'm curious. My brother, all right, baby. He could take these motherfuckers to the cleaners with his ability to debate and argue, but he doesn't like to do it. I like to do it, but I'm not as good as he is at it. But he just says Spicoli. Thanks for that contribution. Ryan, thank you for the super chat. He says, don't fucking do it, Ryan. Ryan just put $2 in the 10. He says, don't let people show their feet on stream again. First off, Tech Protect, if you're going to do it for $2, you're going to be a fucking whore.
Yeah, not $2. You got to up those numbers.
Yeah, come on. That's rookie numbers, man. Okay. Oh, well, that's nice. My brother says you're pretty good. I'm pretty good. Jaffe, do the Jezebeli story. What's the Jezebeli story? What's he talking about?
Who made that question? Oh, Ravenos?
I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh, that's the Discord beef from like a month ago.
Oh, well, okay. Okay, anyway, let me show you these. We're going to get off. We're not going to stay on the Asmongold thing. We're done with that, but I did want to show you these clips from TikTok about Kingdom Come. So these are the stream reviews. That's the one you want me to put up of Kingdom Come?
Yeah, first, this is the first game and some highlights from the Steam reviews for the first game.
All right, hang on. But by the way, this second game, the sequel, is so great. It is so fucking immersive. It's so immersive that it has created one of the worst fucking examples of the uncanny valley ever. But I'll be talking about that in a video. Okay, here is what Tech sent, and then Eric, I'll get that in a minute.
Kingdom Come Deliverance. On my first quest, I was told to get some tools back from the town drunk. I broke into his house to try to steal them back, but the chest was locked. I tried to find the guy who sells lockpicks but gave up on that and decided to try a different way. I went back and just started punching the man and was forced to run for my life after realizing he has the hands. I went to some woman's home and knocked her unconscious and stole her onions, then sold the onions to buy charcoal for my father. I then used the rest of the gold to go to the tavern and get drunk, thinking that it would up my speech enough to convince my fellow drunk to give the tools back. I did not take into account that people do not want to talk after you punch them, and he quickly ran to a guard and I was thrown into jail. I then burned to death in jail and had to restart. This was the tutorial. 10 out of 10 would get spat on by a noble again. Best Peasant Simulator 2018. Burned to death in jail because I punched a cow.
It's a great fucking game. That's the first one, by the way. That's not the sequel, but it's delightful. Eric says, Jaffe, thoughts on God of War going back to young Kratos and Greece, according to Insider Gaming and Hip Hop Gamer. Well, I think great. I think, you know, I don't know the details. There have been rumors that we're going to get details this week. Do I think that's true? I don't know. That would be fun. But I, you know, if you listen to the hip hop video, he says it's like going to be a dream sequence where he's remembering something that happened, or like they're going to explain it in some way. But I don't really know how they're going to pull it off, but I think that's great because I like young Kratos better than old Kratos. I did kind of take issue with Hip Hop Gamer. I thought he was right because, and he's not one to lie. I trust the guy. He breaks a lot of stories and other people take credit for him. And he was talking about that specific thing in November of 2024. And the story has now gained a lot of lift and people are attributing the story to some other journalist. And he put out a video today. He's like, dude, I made a video about this in November 2024. So I do think he's got a point there. It's kind of annoying because it's not the first time it's happened, but even one time's too much. But why am I an ageist? Me? I'm an ageist? I don't know why. But what I would say is, because he's old. Oh yeah, I don't like the old Kratos. It's not because he's old though, just because that is a way to describe a character that I find boring. Thoughts on Sindri from God of War, says Young Sigma. Legit won't shut the fuck up and stop making unfunny jokes. Almost ruined the game. Sindri was one of the dwarfs or one of the blue people. Is that right? And he went journeying with Atreus, I think, in Ragnarok into the caves and shit. I don't care. I mean, there were other problems I had with the writing in that game. That was certainly in there, but it wasn't in my top 5 things I did not like about that game. So, yeah, so that's what I would say. Okay. Who's talking to me? Who's writing me these crazy messages? Oh, okay. I'll show this real quick and then I'm gonna move on. This is one more real quick TikTok clip from the goddamn what's it called?
Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Deliverance 2. Is that my kid? Hello, baby. That's my kid I hear in the background. Okay. Let's put it on the stream. This one. Here we go. God damn it. Come back over.
And I'm the best swordsman.
Hang on. Can I go full screen with this shit? Because
name's Lamprecht. And I'm the best swordsman in this whole fucking kingdom. As you're about to find out.
There you go. That was it. It is pretty true. Yeah, I haven't found a gun yet. I haven't gotten a gun yet. So I'm probably streaming it later tonight. Yes. Okay. Thanks for that comment. I love people who put these comments in that just make this big statement and then they don't offer any evidence or anything. It's just I'm not going to read it at this point. I'm so bored of people like that. Okay. Is this out tomorrow? No, that's out Thursday. Hang on a minute, guys. All right. Hey, Tech, take over for just a minute. I got to go pee. You got it?
Hey,
Yeah, you
boys,
good?
who likes to pee? Who likes urination?
I'll be right back.
There goes Jaffe. We're making the. You know what we should do? We should rate Jaffe's bedroom. All right. Who thinks he reads all those books on his little book stand? Who's does believe that Jaffe's a book reader? Let's see, chat. I'm looking out for comments on the books. Actually, there's a lot of fucking books in this room. I'm looking. There's just so many. Holy fuck. There's the neighbor's dog in the background of my mic. Apologies for that. He reads the pop-up picture books as ever tours. That's his panic room. I've been in this room for like 2 minutes in real life. Crazy looking room. You get to see the other side that you're not getting to see. That's correct. He has like a Monet painting or something up in that fucking room. He reads the chat, so we know he knows how to read. True. It's probably text to speech in his ear, like a earpiece. How many Marvel comics is there now? Shut the fuck up, you degenerate bitch. Wow, shitting on Ravenos, says Based Gaming. I had some thoughts on the general problems with what happened when the Trump administration reports 8 million on 44,000 and why this works. Bitafone, I get you. I sent you a link on Discord. If you want to talk to Jaffe, you can check your Discord. You can check the side chat. At the top of the YouTube chat, there's a link that's pinned. You can join in there. Anthony Rice says, "Is it bigger on the inside?" Ask your mom. I'm joking. Just for show, mostly he drops after a few pages. ADHD. I think he takes medicine for that, right? Oh, we have Vitaphone. Vitaphone, I'm going to bring you on. It's just us, and Jaffe will join in a little bit. He's taking one of those urination breaks.
It's probably a good time for it because he was kind of done with the topic. But I just wanted to touch on like Jaffe's frustration with this issue where the Trump administration hyperbolically reports 8 million when it's really 4,000 or some figure probably closer to that.
Yeah, Jaffe, we have Vitaphone here, by the way. He wants to talk about the 44,000 versus 8 million number.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a thing that you have probably heard about, Jaffe, and I'm sure there's people in the audience that have heard about it, but it's called the illusory truth effect. And what this is it's a phenomenon where an issue or anything that's reported on as being true, the more it's debunked and the more the coverage debunks it and the wider the debunking gets into the general public, it ironically has this reverse effect where subconsciously people actually believe the lie rather than the facts because it just continuously gets talked about. And the words, this is fake, this is true, the underlining this is this kind of gets ignored by the brain, and we just go, oh, initial story. The more it's talked about, the more true it is, even though the coverage is this is wrong, this is false, this is proven falsifiable. So I think that's really, the Trump administration has a pretty clear understanding of this, as well as another thing called the Gish Gallop, which is like in arguments terms is if you throw out 100 lies and 2 truths, whoever you're debating or arguing with has the asymmetrical disadvantage that they have to get to the 98 falses before they even touch the truths, or vice versa, however you flip that. So that's kind of something that like the Trump administration is, if you watch his first term, it's one of the tactics that they've perfected and really works, unfortunately, well in this social media, whatever drives the algorithm world works.
Okay.
So it was just kind of like, that's.
But what are you saying that the 44,000 number, while accurate, you're saying that's the reason that hasn't gained the traction?
Well, if you're a Trump supporter or you're someone that's, let's say, indifferent, but you're not he's just a politician. If you're one of these people that just goes, well, he's just a politician, they all lie. So you kind of, he's not on your radar as someone you particularly pay much attention to.
Okay.
The traction is that 40, the half truth that's buried in there is that $44,000 is going to Politico, and not that there's a write-off there of like, well, yeah, they may have lied and said it was 8 million, but there was still something there that was fishy. That's not right.
But wait a minute though. In this case, that's not true. What do you think is fishy that was not right? If it was $5, what was fishy but not right?
Well, I think that people, on any side of the political aisle might wonder, well, why is the U.S. government, and there may be a completely valid reason for this, but why is the U.S. government taking my tax dollars and giving $44,000 for a subscription that I can get, $10 for? And again, this is the asymmetrical disadvantage of there's all these details.
Right, but even you calling in with the awareness of, to the point that you would educate others, including me, because I had never heard it described that way, you are missing a part of the story, that you were willing, or you were convinced, or you believe that there is a negative take on the story if you are pro-Trump, anti-left. But what you're saying is actually not true. When you actually look at the story, the $44,000 was for basically 4 subscriptions spread across a number of departments of, just like in anybody's work, where they have these, it wasn't like a subscription to Politico that we would pay $8 for and they're paying $10,000. It is like a high-end database that reporters use, lawyers use. If I remember, it was called LexisNexis, that it was like a search engine, but it was very finely tuned for people in the legal profession. And I don't know if that's still what they use, but it costs like $5,000 a year back in like the 90s to have access to that. So colleges would pay for it. Law schools would pay for it. They basically bought 4 of these for 4 different departments spread throughout the government. They did it during Trump's first administration. They did it for Biden. It's been going on for 10 years. So to me, even your take that this is some sort of, there is some negative there. I mean, maybe you don't think the government should pay for any of their subscriptions, and that's fine. But then let's have that discussion.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, is that I don't have too strong of an opinion one way or the other. But when particularly this election cycle, when so much of what drove the election results is just people's general dissatisfaction with their finances, at the end of the day, people struggling to get by. So I think that most people, again, whether you're right, left, or center, most people probably, especially if you're in the bracket of most people, you're not one of the 1%. It's easy to pitch them on, see, the government's wasting,
sure, of course.
So that's that. Like I said, you got to drill down and drill down. You get to that point where you're talking about, these potential premium subscriptions that, are not what everyone else gets access to.
Well, you can have access, you got to pay for it. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. But again, the point is, then maybe we should be mad that we're also fucking stupid and we're also misinformed. And we can blame Biden for that, and Trump, and Obama, and Reagan, and Bush. We'll blame them all. But I think, to me, the anger should not be the right versus the left in some cases, or the left versus the right in some cases, but it should be, why have we allowed ourselves to get so fucking uneducated and lose critical thinking skills and not get the quality of media literacy education we need to function in this environment? We know the government doesn't want us to be educated because it would be harder to control us, but why can't we recognize that? Or why can't people that do recognize it have the skills to communicate with others? Like, I try, but I'm not an orator. I don't know how to do it. I preach to a very small choir. But why can't we all just go, oh shit, we're all being fucking hoodwinked?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just, that's why I bring up the illusory truth problem and the Gish gallop, is that it's just an asymmetrical disadvantage that most people, actually everybody, suffers from to some extent. But if you're aware of it, you might be able to push back against it. But again, this idea that, like, the more you try to, it would be like firefighters showing up to a fire with water, only to find out that the more water they pour on it, somehow the flame just grows further and further. It's a problem that most people are not aware of. That we're, it explains a lot of why people, why you have your Asmongold. And the issue that the gentleman was talking about before of this, I don't know if he was trying to do this, but it seemed to me like he was trying to characterize Asmon as someone who's been bullied a lot, and this explains away his anger.
Well, I mean, like I said, so were the fucking Columbine kids, but that doesn't justify them doing what they did.
Yeah, and there's a danger in categorizing people as they are just some trope. Asmongold, I think, is a lot more complex than just a guy who's been been bit by mainstream media a number of times.
No, that's a guy. I mean, I don't know, but my opinion would be that that's a guy that knows a lot more about what he's doing than he lets on. But maybe not. Maybe he just got real lucky. Maybe he's just a real useful idiot for some people, and he's making a lot of money, and he doesn't have enough self-awareness and or intelligence to change. I don't know. Guy in the chat, Atticus Magoo, says there's no cure for stupidity. Yeah, there is. It's called education. It's called reading. That's why it exists. When's the last time you read a book, Atticus Magoo? Whatever book it is. It can be Dr. fucking Seuss, but read something for God's sakes. You are born into being stupid, says Bite. There's no way out of that. Yep. Again, I need you to meet up tonight with Atticus Magoo and start a reading club. It's called reading and checking your sources, going to various news sources, taking some fucking classes. Come on now.
Well,
anyway, anything else? I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate. I didn't know that there were specific effects that had been named as such, but I think that's very interesting and useful to be able to to identify as such. All right, Vitaphone, good to talk to you as always. Thanks for the conversation, sir. There he goes, off into the evening, riding his horse through town, shouting his wisdom to a world that does not want to hear. Asmongold doesn't feel responsible for the actions of others, says Bandit. So as far as he's concerned, he's just chatting shit into the mic, not hurting anyone. I don't think he is responsible for the actions of others. And I don't think he needs to be responsible unless you're talking the legal issues and ramifications, which I don't think, from what little I know, he's stepped into any kind of dire straits. Other than that, I don't think he has to be responsible at all for what he says. I just think, for me, there's value in at least banging the drum, small as it is, to say, hey, love the guy all you want. Maybe you're kindred spirits. Maybe you have a wonderful connection with the guy, but also recognize that, not everything he says is like everybody else. He can, run afoul of falling for bullshit or knowing it's bullshit and still sharing it. Jose says, Jaffe, instead of reading, why don't you visit some left-wing socialist country and see your own eyes what the reality that exists there? What? Jose, what does that have? What would reading? Why should I do that? That's going to be countered by the book I'm reading, Slaying the Dragon, The History of Dungeons and Dragons. What are you talking about? I'm saying reading as a common thing you do in your life, exposing yourself to different ideas and narratives and worldviews. It doesn't have to be political, although from time to time it could be. But do I think you act like I think that the left has it all figured out and every policy, if they could just implement it, everybody would be great. And no, I've never said that. Do I happen to agree with more of the emotional intention behind the left and the right? Sure. But that doesn't mean all their ideas will work, just like the right, all their ideas won't work either. It's not that simple. The very nature of just embrace. I mean, God, if you guys could just fucking embrace the fact that no one has a monopoly on the truth. No one knows. We're all just trying to get by. We're all trying to survive and have a good experience while we're here. Stop with the black and white horse shit. There's a lot of people on the right. I don't like their views. And if they want to implement policy on some of those views, they're going to have a problem with me. But that doesn't mean just because we disagree with something that they're awful and evil. It's too black and white, man. It's dangerous, man. Come on. Okay. Good reads. I know, Hector. I was thinking of you when I picked this up because we missed our D&D session yesterday because of the Super Bowl. Then I went to the museum and I was like, you know what? I want to read about how this game was created. And this is a really neat book so far. Really, really neat book so far, man. Okay. Tech, you got something to say?
Speaking about D&D, would you want to play a D&D themed video game ever?
Hello, Real McCoy. Would I want to play a D&D? I've played D&D video games.
Like
Advanced Dungeons and Dragons on Intellivision, all the way up to what's his he worked for Intellivision. Don he made one for I think it was called Sacred Realms on the PS2. I played that one. I played online D&D, but didn't really like it all that much, like the actual MMO.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it depends on the game, right?
Have you heard of Pathfinder?
Yeah. Oh, let me tell you. Oh, Baldur's Gate, Anthony, of course. And I want to go back now that I know a little bit more about D&D and play that again. Pathfinder, I believe, let me make sure of this, but I didn't even know this. Here's what's fascinating to me. So I think Pathfinder was, am I right in saying it was the first D&D rule set that if you wanted to play like a thief, they only were in Pathfinder. If you wanted to play a warrior or a wizard, they were in D&D. And then there was like a third one, like an assassin, and Advanced D&D put them all together and said, it's all one universe now. And so I learned that from this, but no, I've never played straight up Pathfinder, digital or analog.
Yeah, Pathfinder is my favorite platform for D&D-esque gaming, like on board game.
Okay.
But they made a video game called Pathfinder. There's Wrath of the Righteous, which is the newer one.
Why don't you bring that up, Jamie, on the screen?
Oh, true. I don't watch Joe Rogan, but I
barely watch him, but people have said that. Yeah. Your biggest fault, and the reason I don't understand, I understand mostly why my child likes being with you, but the fact that you drink this swill, this horse piss known as Diet Pepsi, I mean, you may as well wash your clothes in it because that's pretty much what it fucking tastes like.
Diet Pepsi is the fucking king of sodas, especially diet sodas.
Horrible.
Pathfinder on screen.
Samium. I don't know what game that is. Okay, explore the stolen lands of something. Is there audio for this?
Yeah, are you hearing it?
Nope, because it's muted. Nope. Oh,
not hearing it?
No, maybe. Hang on. Let me play it. I'll play it. Where did you get that, on Steam?
On Steam, Pathfinder Kingmaker.
Oh, by the way, Philip, I don't know if you were watching at the beginning of the show, but tomorrow, I'll put a link in the chat. This woman who was on the UAP committee is doing her press conference saying that it will impact the entire nation. It's probably going to be nothing, but you never know. All right. And that's for everybody, of course, but I know Philip's into that. Steam Pathfinder. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, Kingmaker is the one that I would recommend to start with.
All right. Well, I mean, I got too many fucking games to play right now. I don't even know when in the holy fuck I'm going to have a shot to finish any. I mean, Avowed comes out in a couple of days, early access, and suddenly now I'm like, well, am I playing that, or am I going to keep playing Kingdom Come? I don't fucking know. Here, no, I hid your screen for a reason, Tech. Come on now. All right, here's the trailer.
Peggy 16.
How old is this game?
Kingmaker, I think, is fairly old. I think the exact date. 2018.
Awesome. All right. How narratively branchy is it? Like, do you actually get to make some choices
Yeah.
that, you know, okay, I love stuff like that. That's great.
Depending on how you act at the beginning, it sets up the middle of the game to be completely different, and then your choices there can have a ton of different outcomes for the ending on how you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll give it a play when I get time. But Jaffe, thanks for playing Kingdom Come Deliverance. I picked it up. It's very immersive. Again, thanks for playing because I'm enjoying it. Yeah, man. I'm going to be playing it tonight. I absolutely love it. It is so immersive. And I was talking to Tech about this earlier, and I want to make a video about this because I need to, choose my words carefully. But the gist of it is that the environment in that game is so everything looks so real. Well, that's wrong. Everything looks really fucking good. And everything is, there's so many fucking systems in that game that make it feel real, that I think it rises your expectations that the narrative in that game is also going to have that same level of fidelity. And when it doesn't, unlike a game like Ninja Gaiden 2, where you don't expect it, so it doesn't bother you, in this game, when you do something and the narrative doesn't track, even though it should, boy, I'll tell you, it's like, oh, wait, no, motherfucker. So I hope we're going to be getting, I know everybody raves about graphics, and I get that, and I love pretty graphics and everything, but I hope we're going to be getting something that is, that really moves us closer to that shit as well. We can do it already in text, and I think sooner than later it'll be graphics. But and let me show you this. I showed this guy's work before, this guy Pasquale Cianti. But after spending the weekend playing Kingdom Come, which is set in obviously like woods and woodland and all that shit, this is all real time. We're like 3 years away from games. I mean, this is real time. This is on his PC, but it's the PC is probably smoking and, about to melt down, but we're about 3 years away. My guess would be from actual commercial games looking like this. Let me show you this. This is just fucking gorgeous, man. This is what he put up over the weekend. And after, like I said, after having been spending a lot of time playing Kingdom Come 2, I'm just like, holy shit, man. Holy shit, man. Look at this. So that's Unreal Engine 552. And again, that's what I'm saying. We're a year away or so, because this is not like you've never seen anything like it, but this is pretty fucking amazing. And it's clearly a jump from playing Kingdom Come 2 right now, or any other game I can think of. I mean, that's amazing. But yeah, Necro, you got to start, figuring out how to get I mean, they already know how to do it. It's going to have to come through AI and large language models and stuff. But no one's really done that yet at this scale. But I'm sure it's coming. But look at that. I mean, are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Come on. Your Skyrim with 1,500 mods looks better. Awesome, man. Then can you please send me a link? Because I want to look at it. I mean, yeah, I hear you. I mean, I've seen some amazing mods for Cyberpunk. But again, I'm talking about what's commercial that doesn't require you being a big mod guy and all that shit. Real McCoy, thank you for watching over there at the Twitch. I will remind you, if you're all watching over on Twitch, welcome. Thanks for being here. And if you got nobody else to share your beautiful monthly Amazon Prime membership with, why don't you share it with the Jaffe stream or whatever this fucking show is called? We would all appreciate it. The Real McCoy says, I always wondered if the adoption rate of new tech wasn't so high, if they would have to invent something that would be a leap in the innovation department. I always wondered if the adoption rate of new tech wasn't so. Oh, I see. So if people that if it wasn't just graphics, would they have to go out of their way to say, okay, we got to wow people with something because we don't have it. The graphics are not exactly just that. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Absolutely. 100%. But yeah, the difference though, Hector's like, I can do that in real life. Yeah, I know, but you can't do all the adventure-y stuff in real life that's like this, you know. Ravnos, Jaffe, let the real McCoy know it's really not that high. Steam data says this. I don't know what you mean, Ravnos. What are you talking about? But anyway, I think it's pretty fucking cool. And I want more of it. And I want it to then start spending time and effort on procedurally generated narratives, because the stuff I'm doing in this game that it lets me do, but then the narrative doesn't acknowledge it, is very disappointing, because the game conditions you to have those expectations. And when they aren't delivered on, then you kind of go, meh, is kind of what happens, is what I would say. Let's see what else. I got a lot of stuff, but we might save some of it. We're doing a morning show tomorrow, a game show tonight. Let me see what I got that I absolutely cannot wait. Well, again, keep in mind, PlayStation State of Play is coming, is the rumor. Hopefully we will see it this week, is kind of the thing people are saying. I'm excited for that game, but I'll talk about that tomorrow. It's not out yet, so you're not going to miss anything. Don't be a baby. Okay, here's what we'll do. Let me just see what this is. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm looking at all my things that we can put up on the screen. What you got, Tech?
Do you want to still dye your beard? Is that a thing you are still?
If people want to spend the money, I'm not doing it for fucking free.
Yeah. At the end of the month, if it all comes out to $1,000 in super chats, we're dyeing Jaffe's beard.
Whatever color you guys want, man. Don't care.
The poll in the Discord, the whole thing.
Don't
also,
care.
the game stream after this, we will announce who won the giveaway for the Steam keys to Killing Antidote.
Yeah, Killing Antidote. We have, and there's a new update for that game today, and we've got, I think, like 9 or we got to make sure Bukaki gets one though. I want to make sure Bukaki asks for one. He wants one, so we have 8 to 10 to give out. Basically,
we have 19, I think.
We have. I thought we only had like 8 to give out.
Let me check if it's 10 or 20. But I thought it was 20. Let's see.
I didn't.
Oh, you know what? We have 9 because Bukaki gets one.
Okay. And you got one as well, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So my understanding is, yeah, there is an update for the game that just came out as well. So it's really fun, a little janky, but yeah, we'll be announcing that on tonight's stream. So here's what we're going to do then. I'm going to save most of my other stories for tomorrow's show, our 2 shows tomorrow. It looks like this week, by the way, we're probably going to be watching a State of Play. Alyssa Mercante is going to come back on. It looks like this week. Next week, it looks like we've got Alana Pierce coming on the show. In the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have the producer who's been on the show once before, but he produced Die Hard Trilogy for the PS1. We're going to go through that in a pretty deep dive. And I'm still trying to get the director of Kingdom Come 2. It's like he followed me. I follow him. We talked briefly and then he kind of went quiet. I don't know if it's because there was a lot of drama on Twitter because we were talking, or he's just probably been super fucking busy as shit. But hopefully we'll get him on soon as well. I have a video.
Oh no, Jaffe made a disappearance again, boys and girls. We will see him soon, I believe.
Something's happening. I think it's you, Tech. Well, you're clicking something and the whole screen goes blue.
It's not
I'm not sure what's happening there, but okay.
It always happens when the hands are away from the keyboard. So I would say not me.
Okay, weird. And then the Twisted Metal game. Also, we're going to play the Twisted Metal game, and we're going to bring that guy on as well. So it's going to be, we got a lot going on this month. Hopefully you'll stick around. I think tomorrow we're going to talk about the men in video games that women want to have the sexy time with the most. We're going to talk about my design for the world's best Valentine game of all time. And I know tomorrow's not Valentine's Day, whatever. And then I think Thursday night or Friday morning, whenever it goes live, we'll be playing some Avowed. So we got a lot going on. Hopefully you'll stick around. Could consider a subscription, a membership, a like, only if all those things tickle your fancy. If not, give it a downvote. I don't care, but at least ideally you do us the favor of letting us know why you are downvoting it. What's bad about it? What can we do to make it better? Assuming we agree with you, of course. I did play Neon Inferno. Awesome Tatum and I both got, I think it'll be in Next Fest. We were playing Neon Inferno, which is from the same publisher that did the wonderful Iron Meat Contra-esque game. This is delightful. Maybe what I'll do is I'll play the demo quickly before we jump into Kingdom Come tonight, because it really is good. It really is good. So, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to wrap this up, take like maybe a 30 to 35 minute break. We will be back on this very channel playing games for a couple hours tonight. So, Tech, anything else?
Make sure to tune in to see if you won your Steam copy, your Steam key of The Killing Antidote.
There you go. All right, fellas, be well, be safe, and I'll see you guys soon. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye, y'all. How do I turn this off? I don't know how to go. Press this.